Good morning, Nigeria. You're tuned into Ray's Breakfast. Hashtag what are you saying? Your number one table talk for hot topics, bold perspectives, and unfiltered banter. It's Wednesday, and I'm so excited. Don't ask me. I don't know too, but today's topic is definitely one you should stick around for. Now, the rainy season is usually a time we look forward to. Cooler weather, greener surroundings, and that fresh, earthy smell after a downpour, like goodness mentioned one time. But for many Lagosians, rain also means flooded roads, blocked gutters, traffic, standstills, and sometimes the fear of sickness that follows. So today, let's talk about what really happens when the heavens open over Lagos, and more importantly, how we can stay healthy and safe through it all. To join this conversation and other amazing discussion that we have here, you can tune in every Monday morning to Friday as we explore pressing discussions, public perspectives, and inspiring stories right here on Ray's Breakfast. I'm your one and only Ominka Oluchi Precious, and I welcome you to the show this morning. I'm grateful and glad to be here alongside my gorgeous goodness Ideha. Make some noise, people. How are you doing, goodness?
Oh, well, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
You didn't even let me drink my tea finish before you hit me with the question. I'm doing great as well. I'm happy to see you. I didn't see you yesterday, and I've not seen you for a while. So I'm happy to be back. But you are not showing any enthusiasm. I'm wondering if you really miss me.
Since I have been acting the other way around, you've been asking me that, what did I take this morning?
I'm just an attention seeker. Okay, goodness, I found something really interesting today as I was coming to work.
Okay.
It's on finance, though, and I like to play this game with you. And after that, of course, I have our anchor joining us online, Okikiola Taiwo Jalupon. She's going to join us online for today's conversation. I do not know if we have her here yet. If we have her, okay, we don't have her yet. Okay, once we do, we'll let you know, and of course, have you join us as well. So now, this is what Shei, the assistant, a particular financial expert, put on his page this morning. It's quite interesting, and it exposed something about me. So he said, you have 477,000 naira in your account now. Do you have such goodness? If you don't, just imagine. 477,000.
Okay.
Goodness is like...
Ijoba 477. Let's continue.
Okay, now. So the next slide is, do you immediately start looking for every possible way to round it up to 500K? Or are you the type that will take 7K out first just to make it a neat 470K? What's your response before I psychologically analyze?
Okay, I'm the person that will want to leave it to round up to 500.
Wow, I'm actually the opposite. I'm actually the opposite. Because I'm like, that's 7,000 is currently in the money. Oh, it's closer to 500?
Yeah.
All right. Now, let me explain to you based on what she said. He said, if you're the one trying to push 477,000 to 500, that reflects drive and momentum. So you are the kind who feels motivated by unfinished business. You see near goals as challenges to close and always want to level up even in small ways. And the downside is you may be a perfectionist with numbers. You will be hungry, but you still won't touch the money. I'm sure that explains goodness very well. You don't want to hear my own.
Okay,
I am the other party. He says, if you're the one who takes the 7K out to make it a clean 470K, that can reflect a comfort-first approach. She says you might prioritize immediate satisfaction, or psychological
well, I
comfort
think that's true.
over long-term growth. And you see money as a tool for convenience and not a number to obsess over. Well, Shei, it looks like you've exposed me, but I'm going to still spend that 7K on top. And then we'll look for ways to, have, a perfect rounded money. But that's a very interesting one, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of psychology that plays into money, like how people make money, how people appraise money, and all of that. And sometimes when I just even try to analyze it or just observe what happens, I'm always in awe that, is this really how I behave towards money? Is this how people behave towards money? And one of these days we'll talk about finance. We used to have it on our Friday segments. We'll have to revisit that because we need to talk about money. All right, we're going to take a short break right now. When we return, the headlines this morning have interesting updates from Natasha to Floyd. You just name it. You do not want to miss anything for the headline story. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back soon. All right, welcome back, our valued viewers. As you know, we want to hear from you. So share your thoughts on our social media handles from Instagram to TikTok to YouTube to X and Facebook. Just share it with us. You can also call us on 07025007749 or 0701-424-2420. Of course, this is the time for the headline review, the Nigerian newspaper. We have the Punch, we have the Guardian, actually, the Tribune, and the Daily Trust. And you will start with the Tribune.
Yeah.
All right, let's
All
have
right.
it.
So, looking at the Tribune newspaper, above the masthead, the story says, INEC, Yakubu proceeds on terminal leave. And there's a kicker that says, hands over to Agbamuche Umbu, and Tinubu honors him with national award. And beside, we have new tax regime. Federal government targets relief for 98% of workers. And the Tribune newspaper leads with certificate scandal. Uche Nanji resigns as minister. Woof. All right, so master is Osun local government funds. Supreme Court reserves judgment in state suit against AGF. And below that, we have Tinubu writes Senate withholds assent to 2 bills. A rider that says federal government must prevent abuse of funds. And below the leading story says ACF wants federal government to protect Dangote refinery in nation's interest. That story is in page 27. And we have opposite, Ogun Airport records first commercial flight. I think I saw a video of this on television where the airport, the international airport in Ogun State was open. I even saw some people already, using that particular airport to travel.
I even think we need more airports in different states. Yeah, some states you travel to, they don't have an airport there, so you have to stop at neighboring states, then take a bus over there. And long travels are really not so fun. So I don't know if it's possible, but I think we should start having airports in major cities. We already have them in major cities, just more cities in Nigeria. So
I think that one will also even help to boost the economic of a particular state, specifically in Ogun State. And we have more of industrialized organization and companies there.
Yeah.
And with this international airport is a good approach to generally the economic of the country. And kudos to the governor of Ogun State. Moving away from there, another headline that says SANU and NASU to protest October 9th over federal government's failure to meet demands. I actually don't want to take that story because I've said it on this table before, over and over, that if it's possible, let them look for one lasting solution or one lasting method they could do to, permit me to use the word, forcefully move the hands of the federal government to settle their needs.
Should they take the initiative from Pengasen?
Probably they should.
Labor union that went all out yesterday. we came so hard on Pengasen Labor Union and how what they did affected the everyday Nigerian. So maybe ASU should start looking for
if it's going
tough
to
action.
That's what they need, right? They need a tougher action to carry out, because not always feeding on crumbs. They give you crumbs, you call off the strike. After that, you come back. And that's why you even have to talk about the mental health that is, or the mental aspect of it that affects the students.
Yeah.
So if every semester or every session we're having strike over and over, coming up all the time, it's not really making academic that sweet and swift to say. So I'm looking at the story, because that's the first story I want to take, actually. SANU and NASU to protest October 9th over federal government's failure to meet demands. So finally, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, have declared a one-day protest for Thursday, October 9th, tomorrow, over what they describe as the federal government's persistent failure to address their long-standing demands. Since how many years? 2005. That's That's one thing on the government, on the federal government side. So the two unions operating under the Joint Action Committee have directed all their branches across the country to convene emergency joint congresses on Wednesday, October 8th, today, to mobilize members for the nationwide protest. The action, according to the union, will feature protest marches within campuses, the display of placards conveying their grievances, and press briefings to highlight their plight. I just hope that this action you are doing, this wonder strike, will actually come off, right, yielding a positive result. If not, seek another means. That is actually permitted, though. I'm not saying you should put the whole nation into national unrest in terms of security, right? So moving away from there, let's take a look at another story here that we have on the Tribune newspaper that talks on Tinubu writes Senate withholds assent to two bills. The two bills passed by the National Assembly have been rejected by President Bola Tinubu, which is a decision he conveyed in letters read to senators as they resumed their annual vacation on Tuesday. So Tinubu, in a July 30th letter, declined assent to the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology Bill, which is the 2025, and he cited fundamental defects and inconsistencies with existing financial and constitutional provisions as the reasons for refusing to append his signature to the piece of legislation. So over the time, probably I think for the past few months, including the rest of this month of this year, we're having more bills in the National Assembly coming up. You know, there's one that is to take effect, that's next year, 2026, concerning the tax. And now we're having two more bills. Like,
that's
do
the
you
way
think...
to show that they are very busy.
Oh,
and they are
implementation really
intentional
working.
about ensuring things work out. You know, your stories have a lot of things to really look out for. But looking at that Sanu and Nasu, is it Sanu and...
Yes, Sanu and Nasu.
Nasu, yeah, Sanu and Nasu story. It makes me wonder why we have so many labor unions for the academic sector. There's ASU, there's SANU, there's NASU. So I feel like it can even become overwhelming to even meet all of these demands. Do you get it? Of course, they all play different roles and different functions. NASU is non-academic staff, so they are not involved in the academics like proper, but the administrative work and all of that. So I understand it, but what if we start seeing something that binds them all together? So whatever... I'm just saying this as like a solution. Whatever demands needs to be met, it will just be met once. So it's not like, oh, we've met you guys, oh, the government is not taking a pause. And then after they say, oh, it's our own now. Then we do that and we're coming back. Do you get it?
We even come. ASU for the Polytechnic State, they will come out.
Exactly. It just becomes a whole... It becomes very overwhelming. Pardon me, I almost, bit my tongue at that point. So I think that if we do something like that, the government, these bodies as well, just find something more...
like a one body.
Exactly. Let's just meet all the demands and let's stop this back and forth every time. Is that all you have for us on the papers?
Yeah, let's see what...
Okay, mine is very, very interesting as well because we have some papers or, pardon me, some stories here about the senator, the minister that resigned, pardon me, and of course, stories on Nigerians and their travel behavior. So the headline that I'll start with first is North Central. On The Guardian, anxiety lingers over insecurity, fate of displaced persons. We also have a cost of food production rose by 36% in 2025. Abbas and Abia lawmaker clash over Nnamdi Kanu's health condition. Natasha returns to Senate after 6-month suspension. Power generation offtake dropped by 5% as discos lose 158 billion naira. Okay, 2027. Tinubu sheds political baggage as embattled minister Naji resigns. Above the major headline, we see stories on alleged genocide. Congressman urges Trump to designate Nigeria country of particular concern. New tax law exempt over 90% of Nigerians from payee. That's from Oyedele. And the last story on The Guardian says Senate seeks 10-year passport ban for Nigerians convicted abroad. And that's the one I was talking about when I mentioned Nigeria's bad travel behavior is about to come on them in ways that they never expected. So the Senate has moved to tighten passport laws by proposing a 10-year travel document ban on Nigerians convicted and deported from foreign countries. And this proposal, which passed its second reading yesterday, talking about bills and all of that, is contained in a bill to amend the Passport Miscellaneous Provision Act Cap P343 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, sponsored by Senator Bello Sani Abubakar, APC Niger North. The measure seeks to deter criminality abroad and restore confidence in the Nigeria's passport. Meanwhile, the Red Chamber confirmed that the Nigerian... Okay, that's on another story. But this is quite interesting. I must say that this is quite interesting. We've had over time analysts, tourists, foreign people come up to say that Nigerians have terrible behavior abroad when they visit a particular nation. Sometimes they extend their stay, different things just happen. And it even tells in the sense that some other persons that want to travel again, they will either be
more stricter.
Exactly. They'll be stricter with them or restrict them from traveling as well. So in the bid of now restoring the integrity of the Nigerian passport, because I feel like the Nigerian passport is, I don't want to use a word that is not so nice, but sometimes if it doesn't give you that much honor as compared to other passports because of how Nigerians have acted in recent times and before now. So in a bid to strengthen that, we're now seeing this ban that has been imposed. So if you're deported or if you have to come back for any criminal activity at all, your passport will be banned for 10 years. That means you'll not be able to travel for 10 years. If you look at this, I think it makes sense. I think
it's a good initiative.
It's a good one. But the only thing I have about this is that we need to also draw a line, because we need to ensure that this is very corrective and it does not come back to bite us on the leg and become counterproductive. Because is this only going to be for criminal activities? There are some people that probably have to come back, not because of any criminal activity, not like they did any crime per se, but probably due to some other reasons, maybe, their visas expired or, some other things that are not like major criminal activities like fraud. Are you also going to impose that kind of heavy ban on them as well? Do you understand it? So I feel like with this kind of bans that are being imposed, let us have it structured well. Let us have the buts. Let us have the ifs. Do you understand? So we know that the ones that really need the 10-year ban are the ones getting it. And for other minor cases, maybe reduce the years from 10 years to 5 years. But again, this goes home to the fact that we really need to represent our nation well. I mean, everywhere we go to, because for every wrong action you do, you do not just taint yourself, you also affect other persons that look like you. Every other black man coming from your country like you, almost like in a household. Imagine, let me give you the story of this particular criminal in Benin one time, just because of how his name has been spoiled. Even if he had children or, descendants that are good people, that are bearing that name, you will almost be labeled what? Bad. You'll be labeled as the child of a criminal because your dad did something terrible.
But
so that's the kind of image.
These days now, be it bad or good, right? I even feel occurring recently, I'm not saying I'm pushing for that, but people that actually indulge in bad things, they are being rewarded.
Oh, let's not even talk about that. There's something that's been happening in Lagos State recently. I'm sure you saw it. This Mandiki's case, the one where she was an ambassador.
I
think the commissioner for youth affairs in Lagos State had an interview, one of these popular TV stations, where he was speaking about how it's essential to still... I don't know the way he spoke about it. It felt very political for me.
So if
because I still don't get the... intents
That's
of
why I
it.
brought it up. If Hangini should be in this era with his family descendants, probably they could have used one of them as an ambassador and even be, one of the public figure in
One
the
of
country.
these days, we need to talk about this ambassadorial thing. Who exactly do we name ambassadors? Why do we name them ambassadors? Because they show forth a bad character. Does that mean that we should not make them ambassadors? I remember one journalist asking a question that, okay, don't you fear that these people eventually, even if they start out on a good term of, oh, I am now upholding this, what if they decide to drift eventually? What then happens to that ambassadorial position that they've gotten into?
I feel probably trying to fit myself into their head that, okay, if they give them this particular position, it will keep them in check. So whenever they want to do something wrong, they'll be like, oh, I'm an ambassador.
I don't think responsibility is what keeps someone in check, firstly. What keeps someone in check is conviction of what is wrong or right. You need to first sort your head. Be mentally okay to know what is wrong or right before responsibility comes. Else, you're going to mess up responsibility. That's my own 2 cents on the whole ambassadorial thing. But I'm sure the commissioner had his reasons for doing that, even though I was not so convinced based on that interview that I watched. But of course, that's what we have. But going again by the story that we have, Nigerians, people traveling, people who are there already, especially if you have your family over there, we do not want anything to hinder your stay with your family, because 10 years is a very long time. 10 years, your 10-year-old child could be 20 by the time you get to reunite with them. So we need to ensure we uphold good conduct,
and I also hope this bill that had been passed would also take effect even with the government officials, not just them being set aside.
That means if we get a senator or a minister who is involved in fraudulent activities that the papers have highlighted, all the facts have come out, they should be banned. Not once we see some of them travel, we don't find them again because they've gone to another country. They should be banned as well. I want to quickly take a story on the Daily Trust before I move over to the hot topic that we have today. Well, it also repeated itself in the Guardian and Tribune, and that's the one that says, Minister resigns over alleged certificate forgery. Of course, there are more stories on Senate proposes 10-year passport bans, the same story I read earlier. Then 2027, ADC sets criteria for candidates. Amupiton may emerge INEC chair. And another last story on the major headline says, Tinubu seeks fresh 2.3 billion naira. $1 billion, pardon me, loan. This $1 billion is not billion naira, oh goodness. We have more loans lining up, and the question is for what again this time around?
Last month, he made mention that we've paid all our debt.
Okay, so
Nigeria,
because we've cleared it, we'll get
so
more.
why are we now taking another loan again?
There are other things that we have not sorted. But doesn't this story interest you? This one about the minister that had to resign over alleged certificate forgery. It interests me. Do you know why? Because I remember, well, I'm just going to use this story. So, there's this thing where people who go to serve, who go to do their, service, youth service, NYC, many times you hear these inspectors or instructors during the orientation camp, they'll tell you that, please don't try to forge anything, because if you think it will not affect you now, it's going to come back later.
Yeah, when you want to hold any government position.
I'm like, okay, maybe this is already coming into play. But again, it now speaks about the attitude of this particular minister that had to resign. So is the resignation out of remorse? Or is it out of just trying to bury the story quickly? Because if somebody has resigned, you would not find any reason, any major motivation to want to investigate.
I think it's just a way of just nipping the issue in the bud. That's just it. Not that probably he felt remorseful.
So it's quickly just to sweep it under the carpet very quickly.
Not
should
just
we accept that, or should we
matter.
fight this and say you deceived us? We need to find out what's happening. But I think everything is still allegedly spoken about, so we do not have any facts per se, to say if this was forged. But the fact that you resigned already says something about it.
And again, not just even him. The people that put him into that position during the time of checking out their qualifications and everything should also be faulted, because if I'm applying for a particular position and I tender all my documents, it is your duty for you to actually find if they are genuine.
Yes.
You get.
Call the school, call different
If you're not,
places.
that means those set of people or the set of panel that involve carrying out that roles are not doing their obligations and their duties. And that's why we have such situation, because If they had actually carried out their rightful duties, we won't be having this by now.
You know that bribery also plays into all of this as well. It's been very interesting analyzing the papers this morning, and that's how it is every Monday to Friday on this table on Raised Breakfast. But of course, our hot topic today is about rain, floods, and health, and what every Lagosian should know. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're diving into this topic from an experiential point of view. And of course, I'd love to hear what our viewers have to say. So please stay with us. We'll be right back soon.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, welcome back, our viewers. Today's conversation is about rain, floods, and health. What should every Lagosian know? Let's start with a few realities. According to the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, Lagos records an average of 1,800 millimeters of rainfall each year, one of the highest in West Africa. And with that much rain falling on a city of over 20 million people, it's no surprise that we face flooding almost every year. But here's where it becomes a health issue. Flood water in Lagos isn't just rain. It's a mix of sewage, refuse, and waste from blocked drains. When that water flows into our homes, markets, and food stalls, it becomes a channel for diseases such as cholera, typhoid, dysentery, and even skin infections. During the raining season, hospitals also record a sharp rise in malaria cases because stagnant water becomes breeding ground for mosquitoes. So while rain brings relief from heat, it also brings risk we can't afford to ignore. Flood affects more than our streets. They affect our health, they affect our homes, and even our habits. When people wade through flood water barefoot, they expose themselves to bacterial infections. When we drink unboiled water, we risk cholera outbreaks. And when gutters remain blocked, mosquitoes breed, leading to malaria and fever outbreaks in entire communities. Beyond the visible, there's the hidden impacts, mental stress, property loss, and displacements that come with every heavy rainfall. Many Lagos residents are forced to rebuild or relocate every year. And all of this raises a simple but powerful question. Are we doing enough individually and collectively to prevent floods and protect our health? And this is where I bring in my ladies. Goodness, of course, Kiki is supposed to have joined us online, but I'll start with Goodness for now. You know, when I was reading this, something did took me back years. I mean, years. I used to have this particular allergy to rain. I think it was when I was in SS1, SS2, I discovered that. So when it's raining season at this point, oh my God, the skin reaction on my body used to be terrible, to the point that even when I go to the hospital and they give me injections and drugs, nothing happens. I remember one particular episode, my body was itching badly. I was frustrated. I used to tell my brothers then that one of the diseases I hate the most is not cough and catarrh or even, muscle, whatever. It's skin reaction, because it's itching me here, is here. So it's so terrible. So after all the medication that I was given, nothing worked. In fact, there was one that happened that after taking the injection, my skin cleared. When I slept, I woke up, it came back again, massive.
In full force.
God, I was frustrated. I was quite young, in senior secondary school, maybe not so young, a teenager. And then one of these, local people around, there's this mechanic area, told my mom, what did they do your daughter? Don't worry, buy this one dry gin or something, and then get bitter leaf water, squeeze it and apply it on her skin. And that's how that thing disappeared. And I was so amazed that, wow.
Are you sure it's not measles or chickenpox?
I don't know what it was.
Because that recommendation
It works, right? Yeah. But this one was caused by the rain. It was because rain flogged me that period. Because I noticed that anytime I go outside and the rain touches me, I would feel that impact even more. So the impact on flood, actually, the raining season, it's been terrible this past few days. I was telling someone that before now, this is the season of Harmattan, right? Why am I still thinking of carrying umbrella everywhere I go? I recently misplaced my umbrella in a bus. And you can imagine how that feels at this point, because yesterday I was held back, from here before going for another meeting because of the rain. So you can imagine. So let me ask you, how's your own experience been so far? How do you think the Lagosians have been coping? Or let me ask you, from your own observation and from what has been happening, how have you been coping with the flood, the incessant rain in Lagos? She said, like,
let me first start with this phrase, because you made mention of Lagos, and Lagos is otherwise known as Eko. They always say, Eko ni baje o baje ti. So that's just the phrase there. So for me, I feel Lagosians are already used to it. I mean, yeah, because it's not just a thing that we're just experiencing flood that been occurring over, and even since while I was still young, because I was born and brought up in Lagos, right? So whenever I go to school then, during primary school, you see flood, I had to walk. At times, I even had to pull off my shoes, probably because it's a leather shoe. Yeah. And you know what our parents would say that, if you use this to walk. And me, I didn't even like walking barefooted inside the flood, because I'm always scared of these leech. You could get them in this
I have bad
dirty water.
That has reminded me of another one. But let me keep hearing.
Okay, so the water is always brown. You can't see. There's never a time where there'll be flood in Nigeria where you can actually see what is on the ground where you're stepping into. So everywhere is just like with another fine color. Let me just use that. There are some places you go to, you see blackish water. While there are some places you see kind of a brownish kind of color. So I was always very scared. One thing is, I don't want anything that I have to do with, oh goodness, you have to go to the hospital. Oh, I hate that totally. So anything that I have to just prevent it. So then I usually wear
this particular picture actually makes me cry. Look at how people are swimming in dirty water. Like that other one I just saw is making me really weep.
That's why I said that there's some...
This is not a condition that anybody deserves at all. And I don't know how people are coping, but I think there is, sorry to cut you short, there's this thing in psychology where we accept some things. Like, when you just toughen up. Like, you've seen it happen over time, no response, no immediate. So you are just used to it.
But you know that it's not everyone that totally accepts. They actually know that place will be flooded. For instance, if you go to some certain areas where I don't want to make mention of names, okay.
So that
for instance, probably like my 12, a part of K2, the Alakwere axis, right? They usually experience flood. And there's even like, is it a canal that they say at times they will have to open it so that the water can come out, then they can use it to store more water during the raining season. So such areas, if you're going there to rent an apartment, you're already aware that, of course, you're going to experience this during raining season. And some people choose to, rent an apartment there because of the price. Now, this has to come with the rent fees, the hike in rent fees. There was a time we talked about rent in Lagos and everything. Yeah. So such areas, I bet you, for instance, there was one I saw because I belong to a group on WhatsApp, and they were like, oh, a 2-bedroom flat in my 12. I was like, by 12, what would they? How much? And they're telling me around 800, 900. I said, on a normal day, they won't fix for that price. But because they know the situation of that environment, and you kid me not, people will still go there to rent houses in that place. So you can't say that at that point, such people does not know. So they just have to, like, the kind of mindset they'll have. No, they are aware of it. But probably because of the financial situation and everything, they don't have any other option. That's why I said some Lagosians are already used to it. They're already used to the flood thing. I've seen even a place in Ibejuleki, this Alatishe side. There was a time I went there. That's why I do usually go there. One of my sisters stays there, right? So I think it's almost a year or almost 2 years I've gone to visit there because I don't like that area. To the extent that she had to get a boot. You know, these long boots.
Yes.
I was like, I don't understand.
That picture I showed you, no boots can save you from that. The water was getting to their bosom already. Which boots do you want to wear? Maybe they'll wear,
there's this waterproof all over. There's something they call it waterproof all over. So it has like a trouser kind of legging, very to prevent water having it. But this, obviously, in this picture, they don't have it on. So that's why I said, and you could even see that none of them are even like, oh, probably tired or anything. Even on their faces, they just look neutral. So that means it's something that they have been experiencing and they've already prepared their minds. And even some people you even see in Lagos, you see them using buckets to be packing water and be pouring in it out. So I was like, I don't understand. So that's like my experience so far in Lagos, because I've seen so many things when it comes to flood. And you still see some irritating things. Please, I need to even put this out. You know, in Lagos, we have flood issue. Why there are some certain people, probably because you have a shop outside, when your child, your very young child has passed out feces, you will now come on the road to and wash their feces again inside, and that same water, people will still step their feet into it. I'm like, anytime I see such thing, it really disgusts me. I'll be like, what is this? And that's why we even have issues now. Currently in Nigeria, we're having a battling disease, cholera. We've had an outbreak where the NCDC said that there was a very 75% sharp increase in the cholera rates in Nigeria. As that was few weeks ago, we had about 58 people that died as a result of it, and now it had increased. And this is how cholera spreads. When you have an unclean environment, even the water you are drinking, there was a time you were the one that even read it, one of the government that made mention of the state of water, drinking water from the tap. Now, if such people, you are living in such kind of environment and you're taking water from the tap, what do you think you are taking?
You've mentioned really amazing things. But let me even go back to that house rent thing. So I think I read somewhere, because there was a time I was house hunting, and, people would just give you tips and tricks to selecting any house in any area. So there's this thing they used to mention very well then. They'll tell you that before you even pick a house to settle in, go when it's in raining season.
Yes.
It's best to do house hunting when it is raining, especially if you're the one that you don't want to manage. You don't want to be under that compulsory survival state. You have the money to get something comfortable. You should get to your house hunting during the raining season, because even in proper places on the island here, we see floods still happening. With the places that they collect millions of naira, they will still collect your millions of naira, and that area is at risk with flood. So for Nigerians who are young people who are house hunting at this point, for you not to be in that compulsory survival mode, I think you should go when it's raining season. Ask people in that environment.
Yes, and don't just trust. They should not just.
I like the aesthetics of the house. At this point, I cannot imagine people surviving like that. It's crazy. You know why I feel a bit of when I say it's trauma. There was a time I went to Mushi. This was in 200 level, so I needed to be in a school at that point. So when I went at first, Nigeria is so funny. In fact, Lagos weather is so funny. I went on dry ground to that place. It was a 1-hour activity in that school in Mushi. Before the school ended, rain had started falling heavily. In 1 hour, the streets were flooded. I was like, I was here a few minutes ago. I walked on dry ground. Like Moses took the children of
You need
Israel.
to part the sea.
On dry ground, what is going on? And this was an environment I was not familiar
with.
So somebody was like, ah, you just pass now. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, since I just came through this place too, it was just dry ground. There was no gutter I could remember. I should be fine. That's how I started entering into the water like a fish that I am. Do you know when I got to the middle of the road, I fell into a ditch. Oh, my God. That experience every time haunts me. Even till now, if I see a flooded place, even if it's so little that I can wear boots, I'm not going to go because I do not know what's in front of me. So when I fell into that, they're like, oh, don't worry, nothing there front again. I'm like, what are these people saying? I was crying, I was scared, and my journey was still far. But I was able to, survive that. That's why you can see me here today, alive and and well.
If you're able to survive, then other Lagosians will survive.
It is still traumatic till today. So there are a lot of things to look out for when it comes to this flood. It has affected a number of people. I want us to even open up how this even affects us a whole lot. For example, look at transportation cost. Small rainfall like this, or balance that is 500 naira, they will tell you 800 because they can see that you are drenched in the rain. Different things happen. Sometimes school students don't get to go to school. And my heart goes out to, certain public school students or people that they're from low-income households that have to go to school. They don't have parents that drive them to school. They're the ones trekking. I have to meet my friend in this house, in this other house. 5 of us will go to school and rain starts falling. Imagine having a kid who is drenched in school. I'm like, how do you expect this kid to survive? How do you expect this kid to even pay attention in class? You're going to be very cold because many times they don't have an alternative of another cloth, right? Maybe they didn't even plan it because the rain these days, it comes without any notice. Of course, weather forecast, I look at it once in a while. They'll say, oh, 45 degrees today in Agege, in this place. Well, how many students are always checking that? And they're, the rain comes on them. The raincoats they sell these days does little or nothing. It's nylon you're wearing. What's it going to do? Even the leather one, what's it going to do? The umbrella, what's it going to do? But I think even at that, some parents should still try to provide this for their children, even though they cannot, drive them to school or pay for the school bus option. That's if you're in private school. Do not let your child go to school in this period with their uniforms just like that, in this particular period that we're this flooding season, because these children are going to get to school very ill. They're not going to concentrate, and children used to feel like they love the rain. There's this feeling of, rain flogged me. I want the rain, but it's not about that immediate
love. It's the aftermath of it.
It's the aftermath of it. Look at the health, conditions that you have mentioned and all of that, and then transportation. And talking about the health thing, before I allow you to speak as well. Nigerians, please, let's not make things worse for ourselves. If we're in a condition or in an environment that does not favor us when it comes to the weather, you make things worse for yourself when you become extra unhygienic. That story you mentioned is so true, and it happens. I've seen it in real life. Your child used the toilet and you pour the feces back on the road where people are going to step on. Why are you being evil? Why? Apart from the fact that people, sometimes this water flows into some other people's tank.
Yes.
And they end up drinking it. That's one danger. The second one is that it could cause rots in your leg. Yeah. I remember there was this particular classmate I had in secondary school that had a rot in their leg. This rot was terrible to behold. And all of this happens because maybe you put your leg in one particular terrible water. Not because we were born with it, but all of this could have been avoided if people are just, they consider others before they do things that they do. And yeah, that's what I have to say. So how do you think this has really affected Nigerians across board? Looking at how flood has been instances in the country.
Oh, it has.
Lagos specifically.
In general, I would say their health-wise, psychologically, because a lot of people had lost some precious belongings.
Yes,
so imagine going to work and coming back to see every of your expensive things in the house
Floating.
So how are you going to be?
Video. The fridge was floating, the refrigerator. Somebody said, please, be very careful. If there's light and that fridge is still connected, you could be electrocuted because she was making content.
with it. So a lot of people would have are affected psychologically because they don't even know where they want to start from.
Yes.
So imagine you have probably a shop or you have some expensive gadget equipment and you get to find out that flood. There's some people say because of this, permit me to say this, it could actually even lead to heart attack. Imagine you're in a place far away and you have a shop, let's say a fashion house or a mini fashion house, and you have your machines, your sewing machines and everything there. And all of a sudden the rain started falling, and you know that it's going to take you hours before you get there. And you start panicking.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? What is going to, I need to, you start calling, but nobody's picking your call. So what are you going to do? And on getting there, you find out that it had happened. Flood had made its way into your apartment. So it's really not sitting down well psychologically with every Lagosians that are experiencing flood. And why, aside even talking about the belongings, loss of belongings, I wanted to even make mention of something when you were talking earlier on concerning the story of the person that had to throw feces on the road. Now, in terms of the health aspect, it is known that even this cholera issue that we are having presently in Nigeria, if it gets to Lagos, it's going to worsen. Why? Because cholera also, you can also get this disease through that act of that person dumping feces inside the flood on the road. That's one of the symptoms, because when a person have cholera, you start have watery pool that look like rice water and everything. So imagine that's the kind of thing you have inside that flood where you are stepping you're walking into. So what's going to happen? It's going to spread seriously. So we just need to just cut out some things. And even some people, not even talking about even pouring some people dump refuse. That's the time people, you get to some particular houses, they don't have probably all these wheelbarrow to come and collect their waste bins and everything. They wait during the flood time. That's the time they are going to go and pack all their garbages and their dirt because why?
That will go the water will somebody else in their own.
The water will carry everything. So they will pour everything. I've seen some people will pour it inside the drainage, and you get to some areas you have a clogged drainage stuff in their street. Then you'll be like wondering, is it that they don't have, or is it that Lagos don't have this particular? I know that we have in Lagos, they have this truck that usually come to collect refuse in some places. So why can't you just make use of them?
PSP then.
And because dumping your refuse on the road in the drainage, that's also part of the reasons why it also leads to flood.
Yes.
Because they don't have way to movement or anything. So because of the tons of your garbage and whatever waste bin you've poured into outside, that imagine you doing, another person doing, another person doing. Do you know how many things that are already clogged in those your drainage? And you can't tell me that you won't experience flood.
You're very right about that. When you spoke about loss of properties, what came to mind is for those who are already in environmental areas that are flood, they are prone to flood. I think at this point, it's time for them to take their personal belongings away from those houses. Because don't wait till, it has not gotten here yet. That's why they advise that your certificates, your jewelries, some things are very precious to you. Take them to banks. Take them to other areas.
Post offices.
Do they still use post offices today? Taking me to the 90s.
Post office
when
still
last did I hear
works,
post
though.
office?
I think I used post office. That was in 2019. No.
Okay, that's interesting.
We still have post office.
But take them to those kind of areas so that it can be protected, because there is nothing as sad as having to amass all the get all the certificates and see it, watered down. Of course, if you can have soft copy of things as well, it will be really advised.
Technology has made it very easy for us.
Really
So you don't even need to take it to the cafe to probably scan. You can use your phone. We have auto scanners and everything
protect
easily.
Your things as much. You don't need to have valuables in the house, like a lot of money. It's not the time to stash cash in the house because it will be wet. Sometimes the rain can even sweep it somewhere else. And again, to take necessary health precaution as well. Start boiling your water before you drink them.
Especially if you are taking from tap water.
Tap water, please don't just trust your tap water, because some people are not as clean as you are. And their bad activity can affect you because sometimes this water flows into certain drainages and that's what you are getting to drink. Please boil your water before you drink them. Ensure you purify them to the maximum before you consume any of this. And of course, sleep under mosquito nets
So I
as
wanted
well.
to even add to it, not just tap water. Some people take well water too. Drawing water
like
from the well.
Pure water these days should even be questioned.
Yes, because they're not clean.
Companies, a lot of people just open pure water company, and we don't know the source of this pure water. One day, we're going to really investigate many of these people.
I've done one before where I had to check where they were producing that water. And I found out that even that area is always flooded. So where are they getting that clean?
The pure water that we thought is pure might not be eventually pure. So maybe when you get it, if that's the only option you have, still boil it before you drink so that we can all be safe. Because our health is just all we have. If we're going to be surviving, it means that you have to keep alive. You have to ensure you see the next day. Sleep under mosquito net and spray insecticide because when water clogs in a particular area, you can expect the mosquitoes to visit. You know, they used to say this thing, that AA people,
we're very prone.
This is the time where your visitors are
Mosquito
coming.
did me shaky.
Actually, it did me too when I traveled. I came back with a lot of bites on my skin. I was still reacting to it because it's really terrible. So at the end of the day, Lagos is a coastal city and we can't stop the rains. I mean, it's God's blessing, but we can reduce their impact by changing how we live. Floods begin with blocked drains, but diseases begin with careless habits. So this season, let's make health a priority. Keep your surroundings clean, treat your water, and avoid unnecessary exposure to flood water. Rain shouldn't bring illness. It should bring renewal. What do you think about that line? It should bring renewal to you, but please do not go and dance in the rain as we used to when we were younger. Thank you, goodness, for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
Of course, the viewers for always tuning in. Tomorrow, we're going to have another exciting conversation. It's Thursday tomorrow, and ensure that you're part of what we do here. Ensure to subscribe, like, share the link to as many people to watch today's conversation, and join us again tomorrow. You'll catch our beautiful faces here. Have a great day.